Hello and welcome to the Hollywood Reporter India Technicians Roundtable. I'm your host and Deputy Editor Sneha Menon Desai. Well, this one's a really special mix of artists because between them, in a big way, they've shaped what Indian cinema felt like, looked like and became in 2025. This roundtable is presented to you by District by Zomato and our hydration partner is Vedika Himalayan Spring Water.
In Kannada, all of us have equity in the movie. So because
That's big.
The core technicians, we form our own production house. It's a very common thing to do there.
So we're actually thinking of just opening our own cinema because there is really no space for us. So it was a lot of learning. A lot of my color work took a backseat throughout this process.
Lokah, it's completely jugaad only. The look, it's only for the frame. Left or right, nothing is there. Only for the frame, we made this much of look.
The DOPs, of course, they make your frames look beautiful and great. Production air adds all the best of the things, behind the windows and the doors and the way. But I'm sorry, my costumes is the one which come at first look.
Please pay actors, and not just the established actors who are making bank, but just please pay actors. Yeah, that's my constant.
Like supporting cast.
Yes, yeah. They also have homes to run and whatnot.
Martin Scorsese has been the kindest human being in terms of of course, you can always say you can be very nonchalant now that it's happened, but it's surreal when you think about it. You have spent your life watching Taxi Driver so many times and all his other films, and suddenly you have him as an executive producer.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for making time to sit with me today. It is such a special roundtable for me to put together because clearly the artists in front of me today are people who have in big ways shaped what Indian cinema looked like, felt like and became in 2025. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Before we get into work, I just want to quickly check with you. How many of you have already judged my production design and my lighting? Banglan is just looking down.
I was just thinking with these many cameras and these many lights, we would have probably finished 3 Kannada films.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you judging?
No, we are from Kerala. No? So the same is here.
I want each of you to talk to me about a moment that you had this year where you just really and truly felt, I love my job. We'll start with you, Sheetal.
For me, working on Chava, which was for good 3-4 months of prep, and then we got to shoot for almost a year. Then at the same time, I was working on Saiyaara, which went for 1.5 years. And then, switching these kind of places, and in between you also go and finish another film like Thama, which is again a very supernatural world, and also
But give me that moment you remember where you felt really satisfied.
So, when that's what I was coming to, when you see these things, okay, I wouldn't say it's a privilege to be that after working for years and then you get this whole thing where the crew or your director supports you, okay, you're going from a project to this project, or that project director is telling, okay, you're there. So I feel that moment, that I don't have to explain myself to a director that, okay, it's been a process now. It's good 3-4 months of shoot. So now I'm moving into this one, and that whole thing, I think that makes me feel great that I'm in this profession, or how I'm today able to put across that, okay, I'm going to give you the best. But at the same time, let me figure this out, because you can't be just, as a creative person, you can't be just in one box working for 2 years and not exploring other different projects or different films. Yeah.
Sidharth, did you have a moment?
I think when I completed the calendar slam this year, so we had a film at Sundance, Berlin, Cannes and Venice.
Oh my God.
Wow. So yeah, that was one moment to really savor. But yeah, it's been a great year, and there have been great films. But yeah, even Homebound was actually a special one. Like when we got to know that that's in Cannes, like that, and we knew like, okay, we need to book our tickets because this one's going to be special. And it was great to be there with the crew. A lot of us were there. The screening was very emotional. And then we all went and had cocktails later. Like I've just enjoyed this year a lot. So
I can see. What stands out for you this year?
First of all, I feel like I love my job every time something gets approved. That we've reached a decision.
Someone
and
gets
someone
approved.
gets approved and we're moving forward. Then I'm like, I love my job. And then, which is not the way I feel on, say, a Monday morning. Yeah. This year, actually, when I saw the rough cut of Bads of Bollywood, I was like, oh my God, I love my job because I worked on something that's very funny and clever, and I've enjoyed it so much. Because we start working way before the shoot, and then there's this lull, and then everyone forgets about you, and you forget about them, and then you come back and you watch it, and you're like, wow, this is really worth it.
Arvind, did you have an aha moment?
Yeah, I clearly, and usually on the days of shoot, we wake up thinking, I love my job. And when you get back home, it's always like, why am I doing this? But I just remember this one moment when we watched the first reel of Kantara with music. So that was almost a month of no sleep for almost all the guys who were working on post. My colorist.
When you say no sleep, how many hours are we talking?
Half an hour a day.
No.
A night. We used to work for 23 hours.
Oh my God.
I'm still recovering from the trauma. And the battle marks are still there. So we used to take like 10 minutes into 3-4 power naps in the night, throughout the night.
Oh my God.
So, and it was an extremely tight deadline and we had so many technical things to do. And there was this time when you lose judgment and we were extremely unsure of what we're doing because we had no sleep. And that's when the music of the first reel came from the DTS mix, the Dolby mix. And so we heard it, we saw the visuals with the music of the first reel. That's when we got this sudden, the energy to finish the other few reels remaining. And that's when I realized that, what we have done is something great and we should continue doing this.
Yes, but also sleep.
There's ample time to sleep after the...
Nitin, what about you?
I think it was our Cannes premiere. That was really overwhelming. I'm not much of a getting emotional, but that felt like, especially when Cannes, the basics, in terms of everyone would give it a standing ovation, and you keep hearing these articles
the
saying
number
16, 19, 20, whatever. But what I realized also about a festival and just that feeling is it really creates this one feeling at that moment when you work on something, to have people really appreciating it in such a manner and with so much warmth, that it really makes you feel like you are in it for something, you really enjoy this job, and this moment is what you sort of really you could when we had that moment playing where you could hear everyone sniffling in the theater in Cannes.
So that's nodding
yeah,
along.
so it's you could hear everyone sniffling in the theater when that climax is going on. And that's and you have such a random audience, right? You have a little bit of South Asian, you have so many different people from all different world places in the world are there and watching it, and they are still able to connect with it. That one rarest example was Gully Boy. When we did Berlin premiere, we had done a small screening, just 6-7 of us have watched it in Yash Raj before going, and obviously 7 people watching who have seen the film many times before, and they're watching it, you feel okay, it's there. But when we did a screening in Berlin and with 3,000 people, and you were suddenly watching the film with people laughing, whistling, and in Berlin, you don't expect that. So those kind of moments just make it very special personally for me. Not that I crave for any sort of Western sort of appreciation in that, but it's just the
reach
just
of
the
what you
aspect
created.
of a film connecting. I'm sure when I watched Kantara, for me was I'm what have these guys done? Now, obviously, I know that when I read his interview in Hollywood Reporter, I'm how is, I was sharing with my director friends and look at how these guys are working. And but this is a very different style of working, and you can't do that because there's different ways and the way industry operates. But it makes you feel so nice that when you watch a film like that, you're oh wow, this kind of scale and magnitude that they've managed to achieve. and like the kind of visuals, it's like you haven't seen that, and
startling,
the director is acting himself, and it's such an intense performance. So those kind of things, I feel, even when I'm not part of it, it really makes me feel special about being in this industry, being part of this profession, because there's somebody who can manage to achieve that and open up some doors, and suddenly you feel like, oh, there is a light like far away,
opportunity there as
I
well.
might not be there, but at least like there is a light which is like shining right now, and you can reach there
I
somewhere.
agree with you. Every time I see a good movie,
Yeah.
I feel like really good about where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
time to be doing what we do. Your time to come in. What was your moment of pride this year?
The last year, Loga and Lucky Bhaskar, it's all success. So, come to Kantara, it was my first experience because it was my first movie in Kannada. So, the director, he planned one movie, his own village. Finally, the movie, it's a huge success in all over India. So, I'm also one of the part of the movie. So, totally, I shifted to Kundapura for this movie, 2.5 years.
So we held him hostage. We didn't.
I think all of y'all were hostage. Let's be honest.
So once you come to Kundapura, you're there.
It was my first experience, that kind of 2.5 years in a village. Totally, I shifted to Kundapura for that movie.
So that was the moment when you felt most proud of.
Yeah, that movie, it's my proud actually.
Yeah.
He likes to do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 movies together parallelly. So he didn't know until he came to Kundapura. He didn't know he's going to be held there.
But that's what I feel about the production designers and costume designers. I think we have that kind of like, we can take those measures to be like, if we are planned.
Yeah.
Also very important, I think, what I think we also feel privileged is about the teams. I think you have a very loyal, good team who you can like put at some project and then move here. I feel the same with me, like, because it's with the time and the years where you collected good people and
Who
they're
want
your
to
teams,
stick
and
around
some
you.
are like equally the level of how I would think, like, then it's very nice to like, okay, you handle this, I'll come and go. Like, I think that's what works.
Yeah,
Now, the
I think for
Kantara
us.
time, I was fully there only.
He has one team
Saying,
in
यहाँ पे कुछ option नहीं था.
Yeah, that was like that.
Straight.
Yeah. I was just talking to him after this discussion. He doesn't know where to go. Hyderabad, Kochi. Because he has one movie in each state.
Well, Arvind, I want to start with you and just the magic you created with Kantara Chapter 1 this year. You refer to it as a second film school, but with those sequences, those chariot sequences and the war sequences, it was far from a student project. But jokes apart, talk to me a little bit about the conversations you had with Rishabh, because these are also scenes that you can't make him do again and again.
Yeah. So when we started off, both of us knew, and all of us in the project, we knew that this was something none of us had done before. So it was all new waters for most of us, and even other than the production house and the PD, nobody else had done a project of this scale before. So from the beginning, it was mostly learning for most of us, and we had to figure out our way. And all the sequences we wrote, while writing, we were like, let's write whatever we want to. We'll somehow go and achieve it. Then once when we came to actually shoot it, then we realized, it's just pen and paper when you write it and when you have to actually get it done. So it was my second film school because most of us learned on the go. And we had to find so many ways to do things which nobody had done before. We didn't have examples or things we could, look up to and study from. So it was mostly trial and error every day. So 200 days of shoot where you would just go to set and hope everything falls in place and make sure you get whatever you wanted to. So we never compromised. Even though we didn't know how to get something done, but we knew what we needed. And so we made sure we got it somehow. That was the process throughout the movie.
Yeah. Well, Indian film sets and jugaad go hand in hand. It's a word we romanticize so much. I'm going to ask each of you to tell me about a piece of jugaad that you achieved this year that you're particularly proud of.
Piece of jugaad.
Something you did this year. We should start with the PD on.
They're always doing that only.
Yeah,
Exactly.
He wakes up.
It's like,
Jugaad is
there's
his
no
middle name.
budget today. What can you arrange instead of this?
Do you have a story of a jugaad you did on Lokah?
Loga, it's completely jugaad only. The look, it's only for the frame. Left or right, nothing is there. Only for the frame, we made this much of look on.
Wow.
And just to talk about jugaad, where I come from, the Kannada film industry, now everybody knows it, the rest of the country knows it as a big industry after KGF. So before that, we were a smaller industry. We were making great films. They were great filmmakers, and great technicians as well. But we didn't have access to this much of resources as we do today. So we were always working on tight budgets with limited resources and small crew. So jugaad was our everyday means. Get up, figure out something. So we would have to fight to get an extra light. So what we started doing is we started making our own lights there, started building our own systems, grip, and all the Panther and all the dolly grips came in very recently to Kannada film industry. So we used to design our own rope cameras. We used to design a lot of things. So we even built the first drone there because even before all this DJ and all came. So we are always doing jugaad in Kannada industry, and we have kind of figured out to get what we need without having the exact tools and resources. So that's the gap.
Oh, that's amazing. Nitin, I want to come to you. You had two polar opposite projects this year.
Yes.
There was the quiet melancholy of Homebound, and then this rhythmic high comedy Bads of Bollywood. Do you find yourself change as a person when you're does your energy shift when you're editing such vastly different projects?
Definitely the energy shifts, but it's in a good way. Like I enjoy dabbling between two different spaces or three different spaces. Like I had like a film called Kesari 2. I had like Bads and then something like Homebound. And all three are such different spaces. But that's something which I enjoy because I love like delving into different genres. I feel what I try to do is like thankfully I'm connected with all these films from the script level. So I'm already aware about what is the tone, who is it for, and what I'm trying to do here in terms of achieving. So when it's Homebound, I know there is a different way of cutting that I have to follow here. It's not the usual general way of cutting a mainstream film. It is like something much more precise in terms of, and in like the way how you treat the film, how you use music, how you use sound, everything changes. Like I know when I'm cutting a Bads of Bollywood like sequence at the end of the climax sequence, I know it has to be impactful in a big manner, but yet it has to have like a little bit of hammering it without actually. So there I'm trying to think, how can I hammer without actually, how can we do the hammering visually and without like without saying like being like very vocal or very literal about it, but yet can have. And in Homebound you're like, how much can you have that restraint? So that energy definitely shifts, but that's what the fun part of it, because I feel like that generally as an industry you are categorized very quickly in terms of as any sort of a film crew that you are like, oh, you work on this kind of film, so you primarily focus on like a certain kind of films. Whereas I enjoy working on different genres because I feel like I grew up on mainstream cinema, so it's nothing else I grew up on. So I enjoy sitting and faffing with like four guys in the room, and when we are working on Bads of Bollywood, it's like most of the time we are just faffing and we are like, okay, let's try this, let's try. As he said, it's like a very organic process. Like he will do one small sequence, then everyone has gone to play paddle, and then we come back and from paddle session, and then we come back and we're like, okay, let's finish another edit session. And with Homebound, it's like meticulously we have like this much timeline. We have to send it for Khan, and we have to get it ready. So I have like
I have to interrupt. You also have to incorporate feedback from a certain Martin Scorsese. What was that like for you?
Martin Scorsese has been the kindest human being in terms of like, of course, like you can always say like, you can be like very nonchalant now that it's happened, but it's surreal when you think about it. You have spent your life watching like Taxi Driver so many times and all his other films, and suddenly you have him as an executive producer. And now when you are sort of like listening to his voice note or audio note, and you are like, he's talking about like, Neeraj, I feel this. And what was the funniest part was actually when we started editing, Neeraj didn't tell me what all Martin Scorsese's feedback was initially, because he didn't wanted to cloud my judgment of like anything. So there were like things which were there in the film, and I had like we had a very tight timeline. We just finished shooting on November 20th, and we have to show the producers a cut on Jan 5th. And we, in that time frame, we had to get a cut ready. So we were slogging it massively. And at that period of time, I'm like telling Neeraj, we have to take some hard decision, because we can't be showing a 2-hour, 40-minute cut. I don't want to do that journey, because if you have to send it for Cannes, it will have to. And at that period of time, I suggested something very big, like removing a track, removing some angles, and which was really hard for Neeraj, because he spent like 2 years writing on it. And you are like, he completely, I'll have to cut this track. And usually I would like to give my director that space where they get settled in with this idea. And then over the course of next 1-2 months, they realize, yeah, we have to remove this. It's fine, I understand. So I like to have that emotional sentiment, like there's an emotion sort of, because if you've written something, it's hard to just completely chop it out so easily, as you say. But when it was said, Neeraj was like, guys, let me just sink it down. Let me just sink it. So when we watched the first cut, we were like, it was 3 hours long. And I'm like, you'll have to remove this. Think about it. You have 1 week to think, and then we'll have to take the result. And 1 week, within like few days, he's like, okay, guys, let's go. I'm like, the main focus of this film is just these two friends. Let's just follow the track and And then after that, he played one audio note which Martin Scorsese had sent on the script, and he said, you don't need this track. Maybe you can remove this track. And then suddenly it's like he had also said this, but I didn't want to play it at that moment for you, because I was hoping you will fight for this part and you will maybe get track in. But now I guess this is what
right.
will happen.
He was right.
And when Melita came, Melita is like, oh, you removed the track? Oh, wow. She was so happy. She was already like, yeah, most of my work is done. Why did I come here? You could have sent me the cut.
But I want to talk a little bit about Lokah as well, and just the world you created for that film. Bangalore was like a character in that film. And because I'm from Bangalore, I'm just a little biased towards that as well. Talk to us a little bit about what was that first visual hook to create the world of Lokah?
Lokah, totally, because our director, he spent so many years for this movie. So he has some good vision about the movie, look and all. So then only I just reached in this movie. Then okay, we are all, it's a friends. So it is very easy to communicate the look and idea and all. So for me, the cinematographer Nimish also, it's very close to me, and the director. So that is discussion, it's very easy. Any one image or any one movie reference, it's very easy.
Do you have anything? What is the reference that you saw?
I'm thinking, I like Bangalore. It's like some reflection, some colors, some glossy. That's why we have made that kind of look. Because some neon, kind of Bangalore, I like.
Yes. And you did really well with that.
Yeah.
Sheetal, I want to come to you. And the fact that you took what we grew up believing to be the Yashraj hero and heroine and just threw it out the door completely. And a big reason of why I connected so much to Saiyaara was just how lived in and relatable the leads look. Talk to me a little bit about the mood boarding and the fashion calculations you had to make when it came to just Ahan and Aneet.
It's a whole like a joke in YRF, and also like with my entire team. We had done some 30 look tests with Ahan, and at least I think 25 look tests with Aneet, like to set a look, because he started from everything. I think we got that kind of an opportunity to kind of like, okay, let's see him how he look rugged, let's see him how he look like a nice, polished, sophisticated boy from a city. Like, let's make him look like how B city guy would look like. We tried everything, like, Then we started locking. Then also with Mohit, he's very music oriented, like, every film of his, like, so everything was, he used to make us listen to the music, the kind of thing, what he's planning. So
the music played a role with the costumes?
For us, yeah, because how it became like, I'm then started thinking, okay, like this, when they are together, this is the kind of background or the kind of thing what he's thinking. So, no, I think this is the wrong approach to go like with him. Let's change this, let's try this with the hair, with the makeup, with what are we doing with Aneet. And then my one point always was, like we all have grown seeing Yash Chopra Sir's film. Like, the whites especially. Yeah. I think it's like a memory you see in a YRF film and you need to see whites. And then we were like, okay, this character is so like uh, today's world, she's an andheri girl, like, why do we kind of want to make her look like, very hep, very like, like, so we mixed a bit of Gen Z, which is very casual in its approach, and we got that white Lucknowi kurtas and those white chiffon, not a sari, but like a nice stole around her neck, or towards the end, then we want to show like a nice pastel sari, which represents a YRFness, that, so we're not going diverting. But I think what was the whole process was a good 6 months of prep to kind of like before we got on the film, because also there was so much pressure. We were launching two main, like, YRF kids getting like, like out there in the world.
What was prep like for you?
It was I'll tell you, like, it was the most, I wouldn't say easy, but because it was so musical, and there was certain way the story develops, because again, Mohit's approach was to make this film as casual as possible so that the young generation just completely see themselves. That's the reason why I think many people were making fun, of those memes of people sitting and crying in the theater. But when I went to watch the film in the theater,
There were people crying.
There were
Huh?
people
Yes,
crying in
of
my
course, I
front
was
seat. I could
crying.
see people crying, and I was like, okay, no, these are just not memes. There are people really crying and relating to the film.
We'll send you our
So-
videos. Don't worry.
But there were quite a few things which I like noticed there.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, and they were really just so relatable to
like,
everyone.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think everyone likes that bad boy look also that you give.
Yeah,
them.
but like also
It's
like if you see there's slight bit of Maine Pyar
generationally-
Kiya,
Yeah.
It's a
there's
good-
slight bit of
there's a
like,
vibe
like,
about
so
it.
there's always.
What
I
were
think
your references? Did you have movie references that you were working
I
with?
would. There was no movie references, but at the same time, that whole thing of what a normal city girl would look to, like, or even if a girl staying in Bhopal or Jaipur, like, what they would love to see a guy as, like, so we were making our mood boards, and like, and then even of course Hakim Alim coming in with his hair, how we can play different variations. I think there was a massive coolness in the entire project. I think that what just shows in the
It comes
and we never ever thought that film will become such a thing for the look. Like there was, I think it also happens when a film is a big hit, so people see all the departments.
Yeah.
But especially, we were doing the most casual clothes. We used to try the maximum of things, and we were like, "नहीं नहीं, वो ज़्यादा लग रहा है. Let's reduce." We
So
kept
now अभी
doing this.
लिंकिंग रोड पे अनीत का कुर्ता मिल रहा है कि नहीं?
Santa Cruz Market actually was the linking road. We've gone to like those Hasnabad lanes and where those malmal kurtas are sold with embroidery. We've done those.
That's
things
when
on
you
her.
know you've arrived.
Yeah, it's there. And then people calling it Anit ka kurta, printed
Lovely,
thing
lovely.
with jeans.
Well, Sidharth, you were on the Roundtable last year. He's now a Roundtable veteran. He's done it as many times as I have. But last year you were on just as a colorist. This year you've added a new feather to the hat as producer as well. I want to talk about the tussle between that. Like, what is the tension between budget constraints and time constraints versus aesthetic flair?
I mean, for me as a producer this time, it was a bit more hands-on because we did it last year with Second Chance.
Yeah.
And we had really capable producers actually taking the film forward on its journey. This year was more hands-on, especially with Sour Wonder, like right from its festival start at Sundance to its theatrical release in September. And it was really understanding how these systems work. And what the takeaway was that we really need like better distribution for the kind of cinema that at least I like to watch and I like to work on, because independent films have really, I think, suffered in these last few years because of a certain dominant monopoly of the larger distributors and, like a lot of apathy from exhibitors in terms of just giving it some share of screen space. And that's all the discussions that we've had throughout the process of releasing Sour Wonder, to a point where like me and another producer were actually thinking of just opening our own cinema because there is really no space for us. So it was a lot of learning. I mean, a lot of my color work took a backseat throughout this process. And like I used to get
Yet you
calls
managed
from,
to do it for some of the best films of the year. So
yeah, I would get calls from the studio. They're like, when are you coming? I'm like, listen, I need to like sort this out right now and then I'll be back. But yeah, I mean, we have to fix the distribution problem for sure. This is something that cannot wait any longer. And yeah, I'm going to try and do as much as I can as a producer to just, make sure that we can at least make some movement on this. Otherwise, it's going to be a little hard to kind of, enjoy and really grow the industry, because the industry really grows because of films like this. the audience isn't going to come back and watch the same mainstream fare all the time. This is what will push the needle, whether it's Neeraj's film or Rohan's film. So yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that was actually something I wanted to come to a little bit later as well. But we've also seen this explosion of high contrast visual drama, whether it's Animal, Jawan, Kantara, Kalki. Do you feel we're in the danger of like visual maximalism now? Like, I wanted to get you in as well, Nitin, on, is there a fight to protect subtlety?
I personally have two opinions about it. I feel like, firstly, I feel we have to understand all of this, we have to understand general psyche of like what human beings have changed into post-pandemic specifically. And when I say that, I feel like how do you make someone step out of their home to go into a theater? Okay, now this is purely I'm talking about. If you are sitting at home, because you got the luxury of watching something at home is very different, and you spending 4 hours, 5 hours. So I personally feel it's not the maximalization of whatever the visual aspect, it's more about the subtlety can be there, but if you do it in a format where you can give an experience, because I feel there is no more, that's again my very personal feeling, because I've been trying to understand where are we sort of like headed towards, as why a certain films work and why certain films don't work. And I feel like at a core level, it's in last 1-2 years, what I've noticed is something that can give you a bigger experience. Either it's giving you a bigger experience of emotion, like something like a Saiyaara, or a Kantara, which is promising a big experience, or something like you have the promise that you make as an experience, you are delivering on that. You are not partially giving me half this, half that. And that's where, because people want to go, like, which is why genre films are going ahead, it's going to become like more and more, because that is something that is where people are going to go. Because see, there's so much content you're watching. If you realize psychologically you're watching so much content, you sit on watching reels, once you spend an hour easily, and just you're watching so much of reality right there. How do you make someone who's watching so much, who's watching Instagram plus Netflix at the same time, how do you make someone like that person to go and watch a film in theater? You have to do things. And it's not about the visual maximalization, it's about they are not able to get that emotion that Saiyaara promises in sitting at home. Because that is a big feeling, that is a big emotion, good old emotion, which is like, I want to like really feel the big emotion of love, which you haven't felt in a long time.
So a good film is a good film. If it's a good film, people will go and watch it.
From my own experience, I can say from what I was shooting the first part of Kantara, I was shooting 3 films together. One was Kantara, the first part was happening. Then there was this movie called 777 Charlie, and another movie called Hostel Uduguru, which was an indie film produced by a bunch of us, all of us friends. And we're shooting all of them parallelly, and they all came out sequentially. All 3 did well. And there were, if you compare the visuals of Kantara to a Hostel Uduguru, you can't compare it at all.
Absolutely.
It's the worlds apart. But ultimately, I think it's what gets people to theatre and entertains them. So movies has become more about a community watching experience in theatre now. It's no longer something you like to see personally on an individual level. So there's this pattern where you see all the movies where you can share the emotion with people around you, and where you feel I think it has to be a community experience. So whatever can deliver that community experience is going to work, no matter the visual scale or the emotional scale of it.
Like in a weird way, it's actually gone back to the good old days, like which is how cinema sort of was looked upon, because we were making very few films, right? And people would go cinema as like, this is a picnic we are going for. And now what we are doing is, because there's already so much available for me to, like, if I'm sitting at home, I can be busy throughout without actually doing anything. I can be on Instagram, I can do something, I can watch Netflix, I can watch whatever. But now that you have all of that, you are craving that big emotion, you are craving something, and which is where it's just not about being a good film. I feel like good film it will be appreciated, but whether it will get the numbers, I'm not sure. Whether, and numbers also, I'm saying ki people just going inside the theater. Like, you have to do a little bit more beyond a good film to give an experience.
You should be able to share the experience.
Yeah, you'll be able to share the
Cry
experience.
together, like
Yeah.
in theater, or laugh together,
Yeah,
or whatever it is,
exactly.
do it together.
True.
So,
Yeah.
No, it's all about larger than life kind of like an experience when you go to watch a film. You shouldn't be just watching something which you just see in daily life. Now that same daily life things have become like, you know,
Go
when
big
you
or
show
go
them
home.
like that, and I think that's what
But
is.
so that, what do you want to come in with there?
I mean, I kind of agree with, what Nitin is saying, because this is also what we've been observing, that, you have essentially a buffet of content that's available on your screen, which is essentially with you 24/7. It's hard to kind of de-addict yourself from that. Even me personally, I mean, I'm in bed at night on Instagram, whether it's, watching, a mini series that, Dolly Singh would put out, or,
Yes,
a reel
yes.
that Kusha would put out. So there is essentially that's something special that you would go out for. Most of the stuff that I would go out for is, something from like, good directors. That is usually my choice. And there is, going to be a shift in consumption patterns as, this technology grows, as we start wearing, smart glasses, and, you'd have probably then, more detailed stuff there, which then, makes it very hard for you to kind of get into the cinema. So it has to promise something much larger. And yeah, that's where I think it's going to go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Nandini, you cast for one of my favorite films this year, Superboys. When you're casting for a film about films, it feels a bit meta. Like, are you looking for actors who will also perform as performers? And this one's also based on a documentary. So how much of a role did similarity to the documentary play?
So the script is what we worked with, not the documentary.
Okay.
So the documentary, of course, was a marvelous influence on this whole
Sure.
story, but it was a script. And primarily like looking for actors who fit the role. Then they were able to take it to whatever level.
Who was your
the
favorite
director-
find? Are you allowed to have biases?
Not really. Yeah, I love everyone in the
Of
film. It's so collaborative casting. Yeah, it's very difficult to say find and discovery, and I find these very difficult terms because it's so collaborative. Not just the producer, director, and the writer's vision, but also other crew members and then my team. Sheetal mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to pipe in, but I'm trying not to interrupt. Everyone brings so much to the table when you're casting a film, and I had a partner on that film as well. Who we co-credited on that. So, it just also comes together very interestingly. And when you start casting, you think this is what the director's vision is, and then it's sometimes 180 degrees away from it. It's like completely on the other side when you finally watch the film. And so, Vineet coming on was very nice. He brought a lot of emotion and empathy into the role. So that was nice. I loved all the girls on the film.
Yes.
Because it is a boys' movie.
Yes, and yet they
but,
played such interesting, brought such interesting energy to
interesting
it.
energy, from Manjari to Muskan, everyone. And it all comes together, it becomes like a team and a community, and then everyone else takes over and it comes through very
Well,
nicely.
my favorite part of putting this roundtable together is to just bring different departments of filmmaking together and just make them fight, because what else am I here for, right?
Exactly.
So tell me about the department that you are most at loggerheads with. Like, who are you fighting with the most when it comes to another department? Banglan, we'll start with you. Who's the production designer always fighting with?
His own department.
Production design and cinematographer always.
Always.
Really? I thought you'll be like,
No. This is because in film industry, it's my very close friends. It's all cinematographers. But my fight always with
Cinematographer.
these people.
But what are you all fighting about? What is the PD cinematographer fight about?
It's all for a frame, that's all.
Of course.
Yeah. Generally, DPs fight with most of the people around. We are always the bad guys on the set. So somebody has to be the bad guy.
I think they are. I think the PDs and the DOPs are generally like a bunch of people. They gel. They all together. Director, production designer, and they all go together on recce's and they have the most good food together. They have stories.
No,
they
Feeling
have
left out
you are talking about only happy
I'll come to that.
memories.
That I'm saying because what happens. All the nok joke, all the tam jam comes on
The
costumes.
camaraderie. Oh, acha.
On the costumes because I'll tell you
Costumes
why.
are most.
Oh, now we are talking.
Yeah.
Now we are talking.
I tell you because every time there's a director who has some, I'm sorry, not every director has a good visual ability. To visualize a character or something, they have good, strong ability to figure out their script. But how they will dress up, how they will look, like small examples of how the hair has to be, where the hair makeup wardrobe comes together. We come as a team, but they're always like, why is this way? Why is that hair? They have no idea what they're asking, but they want that. Now that comes to the DOP, who is like, they
gone straight.
Yeah. But I'm saying that because you know what, you are on a set, a massive set with we have some 600 juniors. The DOP wants time for lighting, which is the department will catch costume. All these clothes are looking bad. Can they be changed? So he gets 1 extra to do the lighting.
Oh.
It's so easy. It's
And
so easy.
after we take 1 hour to light up and we do everything and we're ready to shoot, then the costume department comes and complains that we don't give them time for final checks.
Yeah.
But we have 1 hour for lighting. They don't have 1 hour for final checks.
Now, that was the funniest. The hero, heroine, we are checking, doing final checks. The DOP, I am framing while you're standing in the center. Give me space to. As soon as his framing is done, we are like going final checks. No, you were given time. So I just feel, and again now coming to the.
I love that they haven't even worked together.
There's a lot of emotion here, yeah.
But there is this thing which is so strong, and then the direction team again, the ADs again, there are a lot of costume ADs to first AD associate. Zero idea about creativity. I'm sorry, they'll be the directors in the future. Zero idea of how a hair department works, how a costume department works, how much time we need. So mechanical. This is being told. We need an actor ready in 10 minutes.
Hurry up.
There is a wig which will be touching her floor, and it has to be fixed in certain way. There's a jacket which has some 3 buttons and buckles and zips because it's some period thing. We're making an actor wear angrakha which has 3 layers inside. No, 10 minutes the actor wants. There is massive chaos, and I just feel that there is certain thing. But you know what? We all live for that chaos also at the same time.
I love the
because if it's
chaos
not
of-
there,
There was a lot of passion there.
Love the
guys.
turnaround. Love for the chaos.
yeah, there is. But at the same time, I just feel that the DOPs, of course, they make your frames look beautiful and great. Production air adds all the best of the things behind the windows and the doors and the way. But I'm sorry, my costumes is the one which comes first look.
Oh.
Where an
no.
actor, where the poster.
Yeah.
The poster, I'm not showing the window or a chair or a wall.
It's only the
It's an
costumes.
actor
Exactly.
standing and all the audience is going to go see
But it
this
depends.
thing dikh rahi hai. That's it. Nobody's showing the story. The writer is coming in showing in the teaser, I'm doing this. Nothing like that. It's the costume, the poster.
Always, all the movies work for the costume.
Thank you. But it is the curiosity is costumes and the look.
That is true.
I'll tell you. That's where it comes from.
I want to say that our fight is always with there's no fight, but there's a
is.
little bit of begging with the producers, which I want
Oh,
to
I
put
think
out
Very,
here.
very kind.
Say, please pay actors, and not just the established actors who are making bank, but just please pay actors. Yeah, that's my constant.
Like supporting
battle.
cast.
Yes, yeah. They also have homes to run and whatnot,
And they're doing a job.
and they're doing a
Yes,
job.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
So
give
that's
budgets to people.
yeah.
Like in general, I'm sure. See, these days
the
everybody comes
costume
with a
budget is
whole-
always way too high. Yeah.
But this, everybody's, as we were talking about, everybody wants to make larger than life films, and everything has to look so great and apt and appropriate. But when you go for with a budget, there's another whole story only
Yeah.
on that, which can be like,
It's an alternate
have,
universe.
That's always the case. Like even
you
with
should have a producer also sitting here. I think it'll be a fun thing to have. Then
You should be
why
a
you give
really
us money?
chariot.
even with editing, it's always like, yeah, we'll finish it in 3-4 months and all that. And in your head, this is not going to be over in 3-4 months. But at that moment of time, they're just saying 3-4 months. So your money can be locked for 3-4 months. And then it expands and it's like, okay, it's gone over budget now already. It's like, that's the problem. It's like that quantification of time to money is never maintained. And that is always like you are sort of, and like when it's actually like some cases, even if it goes ahead, like you have promised for 6 months the project, and sometimes you are like okay, because I've worked with a certain company or worked with certain people again, so you even go forward. But there's some, like when the producer has to make you work longer, they will never come and say oh, you know, you work longer, let me give you or something. But when it's like you are saying 2 months are done, and like, how can you leave? Like the project is right now just starting, and that's the conversation that happens. And edit is like one of those departments which has to be there all through their life. कि जब तक film release नहीं होगा,
So,
that way.
to summarize, all our fights with the producers.
I'm so shocked that no one said the producer first. You're like going for each other. This is like...
Well, Sid, you are also a producer, but who are you? You don't look like the type who fights, but who are you fighting with?
Not really, but usually like we get delayed because of visual effects. I mean, that's usually the point where we are stuck and we can't really continue till they deliver everything to us. And when it's like a big film with a lot of heavy visual effects, usually those big shots land up last on your timeline. And it's like maybe sometimes like just a few days before the release. So, and it's happened where we've had to like just go in last minute and make those corrections just to those last few shots because something has changed in the color. You expected to land in a certain way, but sometimes there's, something that changed last minute, and then you just have to go in and fix those things. But I mean, this is something that's impossible to kind of, fix, because there will always be those last minute changes when it comes to visual effects.
Just adding on to this always happens. And this is something we try to, kind of fight in Kantara, because we knew the amount of VFX we had. There was no way we could finish our movie in the given time we had. From the first day of shoot to release, we just took 18 months with so many VFX shots. That's because we changed the way we work, and we started giving out to VFX from the first month of shoot. And that really helped us this time. But still, we got the shots late. They were the last to give. But the VFX struggle is always there.
Yeah, but how are you all adapting to this new pace of filmmaking where, there's shorter prep, faster shoot, tighter timelines? Is filmmaking getting faster, or is it just all the more just frantic right now?
It's always been frantic. I don't think it's ever been like a relaxed prep. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's the picture, the frenzy is always there. I find these deadlines are really from one alternative universe.
Across the board?
Across the board,
Yeah.
It's like you're incredulous sometimes with a deadline or a timeline. But then the film gets made and...
somehow, miraculously.
Yeah.
Somewhere I read that all the dopamine we get is from the struggle, not from from the result of it. So we make sure we struggle. We have to keep struggling.
Yeah. That whole bit of chaos.
Yeah, that chaos is required for us.
Let us live and do our work properly.
Yeah. Okay, without naming names, give me, like you said, sometimes people just don't know what they're contributing here. So without naming names, unless you want to, give me the strangest piece of feedback you've got from a collaborator or an actor, and it doesn't have to be this year.
I've like the funniest thing I've ever heard is like an actor telling that use my close-ups, and I don't know what is the obsession with using close-ups, as like it's your film, you are the one that's being seen. If I need to use the close-up, I'll of course use the close-up, but the actor really, and this has happened like years back, and the actors, and I think a lot has changed from that time. Like I haven't come across in recent times there's like anything, but at a certain time there was like this whole thing of like, oh, this actor has more close-ups than mine in this scene, and suddenly it's like, why is mine is lesser, so why don't you cut close up to... I'm like, I don't want to create that impact of yours in this close up, and that I always find bizarre.
Do you have any feedback that you've got about...
Every time. From every department. See, everybody loves wearing clothes. Everybody knows how the thing has to be. So every department is my department.
Everyone has an opinion on what you're doing.
वो heroine का pink ना आज बहुत ज़्यादा pink है. बालों में ना ज़्यादा कुछ लग गया. मतलब every department knows hair, makeup, wardrobe, like that way. And of course, then last में the actors, they have so many opinions. Yeah, so many. I know they all live with the script, the actors, for 6 months, 5 months prepping, but there are some bizarre things which will come on the set like that. Like, why are you making me look such a villager? But I'm like, what I read in the script, you are a girl from a village. So you need to look like a villager. How do I not make you look like a villager? Like, Like, acha, villages, there are malls in the village also. Get me a denim to wear. Like, I'm like, these very vague things. Of course, in a film, I want certain things to look of an extreme level of reality to like an extreme level of like cool, dreamy, which looks people connect to. हाँ मैंने से देखा है. But if I put a jeans kurti, then no, I'm not experimenting nor I'm making things look good. But that's the safest. And every actor have their own thing. Like, no, I don't wear prints. Don't give me big prints. Don't give me stripes. I said no, but
Your
you
character
need to come out of a comfort zone. Only then you will be an actor. No, how do I kind of make what is your comfort? Why do you give you that in the clothes? For that you do your PR. No, for that you have your stylist and your PR who give you the best of the cover shots and everything, which you look comfortable the best. But in the film, you are not whosoever you are.
Exactly.
You are what is written in the script. So these are the things which we face like on daily basis, like daily. You can do like 6 films, 7 films at a time, but every department, every set has a story.
I mean, I had someone basically ask me, can you make this actor look thinner? And I mean, that comes from like a misunderstanding of what we actually do.
Misunderstanding of what you do, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, I know that there is a lot of VFX tools that are now available in the grade as well. And I guess we might get to a point where you're able to do that. But I mean, it's going to take a lot of heavy lifting from a lot of these programmers. I mean, they're doing it in VFX, but just to do it in the grade.
Oh,
Yeah, they asked him to do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and
Like they were trying to save cost again.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
basically.
I'm going to be naming.
Okay.
That's Banglan. In the first schedule of Kantara, we're shooting the interval sequence. So we're shooting in a forest set. There's a guy who's just died. That's the scene we're shooting. A guy has died and everyone is emotional. They're coming and looking at the body. This guy comes to me and it's like, the pepper is not seen in the background. My set is not seen. I can't see third layer of pepper.
I feel you. But mine is actually across the board. It's a producerial thing that happens when you're casting, where they. So I'm not naming names and not naming platforms and all that, but it's a producerial thing where they say, this actor is not famous enough. But how will the actor become famous if you don't let them do a role? I mean, then you're just stuck with one lot of actors and you can't expand it. And there's so many good actors in the country, and we just have to keep using people who've done this much work. And so it's kind of like a catch-22
situation. Yeah.
Constantly.
You want to get back at him or no? Okay, talk to me about, actually on last year's Roundtable, Sudeep Chatterjee, the DOP, talked about how the films with the biggest actors often have the smallest production budget.
Yeah.
And Banglan, you've also been very vocal about how much money is being spent on film, where 80% of the budget often goes to the actors. Now, as heads in each of your departments, what can you do to change this remuneration situation? How does one fix the situation? Like, what is the solution for it?
I think it is fair in certain ways because, from the producer's point of view, he's going to put his money, he's going to spend more on what's going to bring back his money. But at the same time, at least where the kind of films, the production houses I'm working with, they know what it takes to make a good movie. They know how much they need to spend on lighting. And very few fights we've had where we have to, ask them for more money for camera or lights, especially with Homebound. They exactly know how much they need to be spending to make the kind of movies they want to. So I haven't been in a situation where I have to fight for what I need, but I'm sure that's a thing I will have to face in a few days. So I'd like to hear on how they're tackling it.
How do we just make sure that technicians get paid what they're due? Is that even a conversation that is happening?
I think that conversation is always there and it's going to be there, and it keeps changing also. Like, I feel we had a different phase like 1 year back. Like 1 year back, there's so much work happening across the board, from OTT platforms to production houses, everyone. And suddenly there's a little bit of a lull that has sort of kicked in, and suddenly the budgets are being shrunk and sort of everyone wants to do it. But the thing is, nobody in this scenario has discussed the number that the main lead or whatever and it's not about just the actor, right? It's the entourage also. Like there's this one statement I did in a earlier interview, Suchin's interview, where I said the driver of this actor, those certain actors can get paid more than like what my assistant editor will. And that tracked. Like, and I'm like, how is that tracking? Because that's such a sad thing to even compare itself. Like, but the problem is they'll fight for something like an assistant editor or associate or something else where this person is going to spend hours and hours every day. This person is going to be the most creative, strong force who's going to spend. So the aspect is I try to do is I feel like the route has to be first stabilized, where you yourself fighting for your assistants and associates. And then going from there to yourself and because if you have achieved a certain status or certain stage, you can push here and there. But the major thing has to come from the top, where the producers have to decide how much the actor should deserve and how much when things are changing so much and when the market shift is so much, how much should an actor get paid and how much like the rest of them. Because if you actually quantify, I don't even think the HODs itself manage to like get like 1% of the budget of the film. Like in terms of like if you actually quantify the number. And I have done this, like I've tried to understand what is the mechanics of budget and sort of like, and it's just weird like how the whole equation works. I understand that the film needs a lot of money itself. But these are your core crew members, core people, and people who are investing all the time and energy that you need for it. So that has to come from the top. I don't know individually what is in my control is looking after my own team and seeing to it they get paid well. They like if they are putting the hours, even for a day, they shouldn't be working for free. That's one of the things I try to see is like nobody, because I know when starting out in the industry, I had done like a lot of free stuff where I'm like not getting a check for like salary for like 3 months,
Getting
4
paid
months.
by experience is
the experience,
payment.
and then you have like you don't want the people who are coming into the whole film industry right now. They have to have that. Editing is the worst. You don't want to join that. There's no money or there's nothing. There's no life. There's no money, and like it just makes you feel like people themselves don't want to come because it's certainly shows.
That's why he entered and talked about playing paddle between. So do you feel that this disparity in payment exists across
Definitely, it does,
industries?
it
Is it
does.
in Kannada? Is it in
Everywhere.
Malayalam?
It's there everywhere. And
Or is it better elsewhere is what I was trying to get to.
No, the thing is, in Kannada, all of us have equity in the movie. So because
That's big.
Oh, wow.
That's huge.
incredible.
in most of the movies, not in
All
huge
of
movies
you
like
means
that.
like who all? Like
The core technicians, we form our own production house. It's a very common thing to do there.
That's a big step in that direction.
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of studios there. So what we do is most of the films, bunch of people who are all aligned together, we form a small production house. All of us are partners in the production house. We put in some money and we get some money from a bigger production house. We partner with them and we make movies. So like I said, this issue is not so big there yet.
Yes. Banglan?
Yes.
Are technicians getting paid what they need to in Malayalam cinema? Or should it change?
Malayalam almost okay. It's going same track actually.
The same thing is happening in Malayalam as well. And
Okay.
I think they have a kind of upper limit.
Because
on-
Malayalam, it's a very small industry, So they are very planned actually for the per day, how many shots we need. The timings, it's very sharp actually.
Okay. So there is
But
hope.
also, Sneha, the equity thing is such a game changer itself.
really is.
Like you are part of a project, so you become like equally important in terms of whatever it takes, I will push it harder.
And invested,
because
yes.
here you are locking yourself for just supposedly that time, and it can go longer or whatever it is. I'm not gonna get like maybe little bit push here and there I'll get, but equity, having a actually part of it, even if it's like 1% or whatever that is, and you might not get any money also. It's like sometimes you might
That's the
not
risk
come,
you have to take,
that you might not get anything, but just the being valued in that level makes you feel much more emotionally in tune with the project, and that shows basically.
Because
that's how you sort of work.
When you sign up,
Yeah.
you always sign up what you like, and you're going to make sure you're going to do everything you can to make it work. When you're doing that, you might as well be invested in it so much, you might as well get returns out of it. So that's why even the bigger production houses are okay with partnering with a smaller production house where everybody has a equity, and it's usually a bunch of co-technicians forming groups together. That's happening in Malayalam as well.
Yeah, no, that's such a
Not happening
heartening sign,
here
really.
at all.
There's like there's a film by David Mamet called State and Main, and that film is there's Philip Seymour Hoffman is playing this role, and he's like a very diligent writer who's just won a big award like in theater, and he's writing his first feature film. So the guy has to rechange, the producer has to change the climax, and then he's like the director is asking, but what do we give in return? He's like, give him associate producer credit.
I want each of you to tell me about a movie that you went to watch this year in a theater purely as a fan. What did you watch?
I watched Lokah and came out as a fan. I mean, that was like one of the best cinema experiences this year for me. And I was lucky I watched it in Bangalore. So it was completely packed hall, and it was a great cinema, brand new projector, everything just worked out.
Checked
and
all the boxes.
Yeah. And I think just watching it with, an audience there just made a lot. It just changed it because, you have Bangalore in the film.
Yes.
And
the way he's built it as well.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it was actually I don't think I can beat that experience this year.
Anyone else? Theaters?
We just came out of the forest last month, so we haven't been
Still getting used to our life.
Still getting used to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I watched Jafar Panahi's A Simple Accident at Cannes this year, and that was quite an experience watching that film. And I feel like I haven't attended a film screening, like especially I was like little bit always wary about this whole Cannes thing, which is you have to wear tuxedos and go for these screenings, and I'm like, why all this fun? But what I realized in hindsight was it really makes the filmmaker feel so special in that moment, and that's only once in a lifetime he will
For
get
that
that
person.
or she will get that, and that feeling of watching that film with him being there and like as he's tearing up and like you can feel like he's the history of the filmmaker and what he's managed to put out again after what he has gone through, and yet again he's put out a brilliant film that I felt was like very special just purely as just watching experience of it.
Yeah. Sheetal?
I saw my film screenings, but I think Chava for me was that kind of project because we saw so much, the things were with green screen and things were like, look, we don't know how it will look. So when it's all edited and put together or something, I was like overwhelmed. Oh, it's looking so good and great. While it's happening, you don't realize
You don't really know how it will come together. Yeah. Banglan, film you saw in the theater?
No, the same which actually.
Yes, in the same forest.
I want each of you to tell me if you could ban one thing on a film set, what would it be?
Walkie-talkies without earphones.
Well, I'm not on a film set usually, so
In your world, what would you want to ban?
all this phone situation, smartphones and noise and conversations and I love to
I would love
ease the
to.
chatter.
I feel like generally maybe I'll also would love to have like a White House kind of a placement where you keep your phones as you enter the room, because I feel like generally we all getting too distracted when we are working. Like I feel like even if I am working with a director, like as soon as I having a question or having a conversation, director goes back to the phone and we are like looking at something, and it happens a lot. And similarly with me also, it's like if my assistant is sitting and I'm behind, I'm watching something, I also go back on my phone and I'm like, that is something that one can, like I somehow love, like when Nolan says there's no phones on the set or all these things, I feel like it has like some credibility. Or you go to a village and shoot where there's no network.
Yeah, we don't
There's
have,
no network at
we
all.
don't have network. We went one
It's like
step
old
ahead.
school.
Yeah.
So the first criteria for okaying a location for Kantara is it should not have network. If it has network, we reject it.
Any other pet peeves on set?
For me, I think it's not just me. I think whoever on a set would realize is it's the most. All the sets when you're shooting in real location, something we create so much of filth and so much dirt around it. Plastic bottles to people going and peeing anywhere and like even like So I think we create a lot of unhygiene around places where we go. I think that's what film unit does mainly. Whether we go to best of the looking villages and then within a fraction of the evening, you see it's filled with plastic bottles and tissue papers and like whatever shit, like, so it's, I think that's what I think should be just taken care
Paper
of.
cups,
like,
plastic bottles.
Yeah, everything. Like, not just that, even on the studios, like, so much, like, the toilets are, everything. It's so unhygienic to be like a normal person will actually fall sick.
So it's
Like,
not as
everything,
glamorous as one is imagining
all.
it to
Also,
be.
I
Where's
feel
the
that
glamour?
there's a lot of like training also needs to be given, like where people ourselves like are not respectful of the space we are in. That's the like issue I feel a lot of times is like especially like when I went to, this was my best experience of being on a set when I was in Gully Boy set, and I was like, it was the most organized in that sort of a place, even though it's chaotic as a set, but it comes from the top. Like a person like a Zoya would want like a certain way, and she would say that let's have like this, like organizing in a certain way. So there is a education imparted right at the top. So there is like people respectful of that, like I shouldn't throw it here, just keep it here. I'll just go and walk towards the dustbin and just throw it. That I feel is a very important feeling to communicate, I feel. But again, like it's like comes with everything comes with its own paraphilia. So
Yeah. I'm curious to know, as craft heads, do you finally feel like stars in your own departments? Like, do you feel like an audience is now recognizing you by face and name? Has that happening now?
Only with the acting community. Not in real life.
No?
No.
What about you all?
In Bangalore, I can't go eat bhel puri on the streets
Oh
anymore.
my
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, not that you
But
can't.
I really miss that. Maybe I need to stop eating bhel puri, but still.
Bring him some bhel puri here. So you can't really...
No, that I mean, I think it's a temporary thing where because
No, I hope not. You
I
deserve
hope
to
it is
be.
because it's kind of disturbing,
he
and
wants to have bhel puri.
I want to be back on the roads. I think it's because of all the promotions we did for Kantara and the amount of reach it had in Karnataka. Like people do know you by your face. So
That's a great sign, I just want to say.
yeah, but
Because you deserve to be also known by your face and name.
yeah, it's two sides.
Yeah.
Nitin?
I don't know. Like, of course, like you, with a community of filmmakers, you are aware. My funniest experience was this year. I was traveling from abroad and coming back to India, and that the digital immigration. I've been like, obviously, this was the first time I was trying. So I'm like, put like 4 fingers, nothing has worked. 5th finger, finally it matches, and the door opens, and the person who's sitting at the digital, oh, you are Nitin Baid. Gangs of Wasseypur, most film, man. And I'm like, I worked as an assistant, not even.
Wow.
So that was like, okay, interesting. Like, who's very randomly, he said, and because I'm guessing he saw the whole profile has come in front of him on the computer.
Yeah.
So suddenly he just gets up, Arey, acha kaam hai, yaar, mast hai.
Sheetal? Say Denise.
For us, it is basically my costume and the fashion college students where you bump into like these fabric stores and all. It's just that, nothing like, and then they're the parents. Inko le lo aapke department mein, like, that kind of the only fan following like what I would get. But yeah, one was really interesting was like traveling in like a flight to London, and the air hostess walks in, she says, I want to give you this dairy milk because you worked on Gangu and I love the white saris and it's so beautiful. And I was like, and that entire journey, she kept giving a coffee to like without even asking, like,
That's
that.
what I meant, to feel like a star.
It was a very nice feeling. So I felt, okay, now how these actors feel privileged every time, like, for these things.
And the producers are paying them also.
I want you to share a story. Are people recognizing you? Are you able to go out and eat?
No, I'm very safe actually. I can go anywhere, shopping mall, street, everywhere. Only thing is, name is little familiar in Kerala.
Yes.
His
Only the
name he
name.
always presents.
Rightfully so. So not the face yet. Maybe after this roundtable that will change.
Yeah, I was just going to say this glamorous roundtable is going to definitely.
Yeah, so
Change
on the 3rd or 4th day of set work, like there was a big thing. Banglan was a star because all of us had heard so much about him. Everybody's like, who's this guy? Banglan. He's painting a wall.
I love that.
In our all set, the final touch, me only.
You only have
Now
to
then
do
we
it.
realized it was for a cover shoot for something. He was actually doing a photo shoot.
I just want to know now, looking ahead at 2026, we haven't really talked about AI, but it's looming large. So I do want to get a sense of you, actually positively, what are certain AI tools, formats, techniques that you're all excited to maybe embrace in the coming year? What is the next big shift?
You want to start?
And which
Production
of-
design?
You
Production
can say-
design,
no,
you
you can
start.
start.
Yeah, which of your departments is first sort of embracing it in a big way?
All of us.
All
I
of
think
you?
all like generally everyone is sort of willing to take that step further because I don't think there is an apprehension about taking it. The main thing is about the consistency of it right now. Is like, can it deliver what I want and for 10 shots, or can it be just for that singular shot? With respect to editing, I think what's happening is like a software like Avid, Adobe, all these softwares have like an AI sort of component which is going to come, and the role of assistants, they are trying that assistants will decrease where you can, but I still feel like it's still a little far away because there's so much data that you have to cross through. Like if you are shooting a film, it's usually shot like 300-400 hours and more than that. And if like an AI has to scan through that much hours of footage, it is talking about so much energy it needs to use also. So embracing wise, I think everyone is willing to embrace. I think VFX is where it's going more prominent. Like we have a show which I worked on. They were using AI to sort of create some worlds and all that kind of stuff. But editing primarily, I still feel there's still some time to see what are the real impacts, because firstly, languages and rest of the things, and what really can it break it down into. Like if I give it like 10 different shots of all these people, like if I'll have to keep on giving, so somebody has to give those prompts also, right? And to sit and do the prompts and do the work and then see what kind of quality they create.
Yeah.
All of us are using AI, and it's integrated with all the apps and the softwares we use. I had a funny experience in one of my recent shoots where we had a lot of time, so I just took a screen grab of what we're shooting and I uploaded and I said, what can I do to make this look better? And it gave me a lot of suggestions. Cut some light here, add some color here, remove this color, it's popping too much in the frame. I did all that, and then the director comes up to me and is like, 5 minutes ago it was looking better. Then I realized it's so generalized. So there's still time where your personal touch and your art is still relevant. So,
Absolutely.
but still, we all need to embrace AI because it's something which is going to help all of us. It's not against us. It's with us.
I hope it doesn't replace actors.
Yeah,
It's our job.
Well, Tilly has already arrived.
Yeah, I know. But will she be able to do the deep emotions, the complex emotions of a human being? I doubt it.
It might be the solution for equal distribution of.
No.
Like best is I was watching the interview of the filmmaker who made that Mahavatar, Haman Nasima, and he was talking about how he sort of just was working alone, and I'm sure he has a team, but he was like, it was just one man who had this vision and wanted to sort of, that I feel is a great sort of a potential of seeing someone like who could change whatever and create whatever he is thinking or been thinking for years, and AI gave him that tools. That is amazing. Whether it's about like how consistent and what, but I think if you have the vision, at least it gives you that access, which is amazing.
Yeah, we've been actually using AI tools now, I think, for the past couple of years in our software programs, because they actually are tools that are, machine learning based, and they empower the artist to actually work faster. So whether it's like, tracking faces and, creating depth maps to grade like background and foreground separately, it's been there and we've been using it consistently. And I think it's just going to get better and faster. And any tool that is actually empowering the artist to, do something better so that you have more time to spend on creative decisions versus actually doing manual work, that is something that I'm always looking forward to.
Yeah. Banglan, you use AI as well.
We are using, suppose one set designs like for a single frame, you can use AI.
Some of the designs he does is with it.
Yeah. Mostly we are using Lumion only for a 3D and all. So some 360 area we need to make now, we'll use 3D only. Otherwise, single frame, we are using AI only.
I think most of the PDs now, at least the PDs I have been working with, have a separate AI team with them. Who who kind of put the prompts of whatever they have in their mind and they get images out. You have a team as
Yeah.
well, right? Most of the PDs do. I mean, they're all
Also,
adapting.
it is very easy to communicate with the director on
Yeah.
the first look.
Mm,
The idea is
Yeah.
okay, now we can follow that.
correct. Correct.
Yeah.
No, Sheetal, has AI come into your world at all? Yeah.
It massively, in fact, for costumes. But I'm very challenged. I won't know all these apps and all. I don't understand that at all. But for me, it is like, no, as I was saying, like when the actors are like, why am I looking like a villager or why am I like this? That helps me a lot. I make like a proper graphic sketch with the help of these artists and show them a visual presentation, like a complete, there are times when I made an entire docket for the entire film. This scene, these kind of colors, this kind of vibe, hair, the sari drape. It takes time, but I made like an entire visual presentation to show it to them. So they're happy and
And convinces them better as well.
Yeah, because you're seeing them, how they're going to look. They get very amused also. Some of the actors have taken like pictures of them, framed it and all.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for coming on my roundtable and thank you for sharing so many stories pan-India. It's nice to know that we have the same challenges, the same moments of euphoria and we're all just trying to do more of movie magic.
Yes.
Viva
Thank
la
you so
cinema.
much.